Hey all. So I figured I'd do a video on auctions, or the types of auctions that you might want to hit that people don't normally think of as a good place to source vintage inventory. One type that I used to hit were auctions for printing companies. And industrial auctions in general. If the company is old, liquidating their industrial inventory, a lot of times there's vintage stuff mixed in, and it's well worth checking out their auctions. I hit I hit actually several different printers auctions. One I had hit wasn't that old of a business, but they had bought out a lot of older, smaller businesses or smaller printing companies, so they ended up with their inventory. So I ended up with thousands of printer's blocks. See these little guys? There's a duck there. Hopefully you can see that all right. There we go. Focus a bit. And logos and that sort of thing from companies they did printing for. There's a Stubby Beverages logo. It's another duck image. And I literally, this is just the tip of the iceberg of what I literally got thousands of them, as well as a bunch of scrap linotype and such that nobody wanted at the time. Linotype now seems to be in a bit of demand, but unfortunately at the time it was just scrap lead, but I made money on the scrap lead as well. There's a Coca-Cola one right there, and here's a Suncrest logo. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. But anyway, I ended up with thousands of these, and they didn't cost me huge amounts of money. There was one other bidder that was interested in them, and he made a deal with me to take one tray worth of blocks, and I got all the rest. So so that was fine. Worked out really well. There was a lot of washing to do because there's lead dust on these things, so you had to wash and clean them with a toothbrush and soap, and then I usually oiled them. But I literally had thousands of them. I'm down to a dozen maybe or so that are still kicking around until I find another printing company to buy, or inventory to buy. Anyway, so it's really worth hitting some of the vintage, or hitting some of the industrial auctions. Do some background research on the company and see what other firms they bought, even if they're not that old themselves. If they were buying other companies, they may have vintage inventory around, vintage equipment, warehouse carts, who knows what they've got. And you'd be surprised what pops up in some of the strangest places. That's where you end up with warehouse fine quantities of stuff as well. Whether it be signs or thousands of type blocks, printers blocks, or a wide variety of things. You may end up with some good inventory for not much money. But you got to hit those right auctions, and you got to have some cash in your pocket just in case you're bidding against some of the wealthy company owners that are bidding for nostalgia purposes. There was one company called Bowman Brothers Lithographers, and they were printers for Campbell Soup. They were printers for thousands of other companies in Manitoba area and across Canada. And they had what they call litho stones, with old advertising on them, turn of the century, late 1800s advertising, and a lot of the stones were being bought up by the printing company owners that were attending the auction. I managed to buy a couple, but some of them or most of them went out of my range at the time. I missed a couple really good ones just because I hadn't seen everything. And there was advertising on both sides of these stones, and there wasn't enough time to preview during the auction. So, but anyway, it's worthwhile hitting those auctions. Really, you can really score quite well if you hit the right ones. Anyway, just a quick tip and a little bit of story in there for you. So, take care. Happy picking.